Imagine with me that it's circa 1930. You are a pilot flying your airplane over one of the most dry and desolate locations on Earth, the Nazca Desert of southern Peru. Time seems to stand still as you soar high above the vast, barren landscape that stretches mile after mile. Suddenly, something out of the corner of your eye catches your attention. You squint and strain for a closer look. Are your eyes playing tricks on you? Hundreds and hundreds of thick trapezoidal triangular lines, some that look like giant runways and huge geometric figures depicting animals and birds. What are these, you wonder? You just happen to be one of the first humans of the modern era to have discovered what has come to be known today as the Nazca Lines. Estimated to have been created as early as 500 BC and as recent as 500 AD, the Nazca Lines cover hundreds of square miles and are some of the most mysterious geoglyphs known to man. I think I came to the same conclusion that so many others have when I first flew over the Nazca Lines years ago. It seems as if these anomalous works of art were tailor-made to be viewed from thousands of feet up in the air. These geoglyphs feature over 800 straight lines, 150 geometric figures, and about 70 plant or zoomorphic shapes. However, over 1,000 more geoglyphs can be found about 30 miles north of Nazca near Palpa, Peru, and even more can be found all the way to the coast near Paracas. The Palpa and Paracas geoglyphs seem to be more three-dimensional and feature more humanoid and insectoid-looking figures. Some of the largest geoglyphs are nearly 3 football fields in length, and some of the longest of the straight lines extend for many, many miles. For example, the 6-mile long triangle geoglyph appears almost laser accurate in shape, and the ground underneath it has been stamped down about 2 feet throughout its entirety. Scientists from the University of Dresden measured the magnetic field and found that it changes 8 feet below the surface of many of the lines. And they also discovered that the ability to conduct electrical currency was 8,000 times higher on the lines. Upon close observation, it is evident that the designs were created by making shallow lines in the ground. By removing the small red iron oxide pebbles upon the surface, the white lime enriched ground beneath became exposed and hardened, thus making it resistant to erosion. Because of its isolation and dry, stable climate that receives less than 1 inch of rain per year, the lines have been naturally preserved for around 2,000 years. German mathematician and archaeologist Maria Reich studied the lines over 50 years and believed that the Nazca artists prepared preliminary drawings on small 6-foot square plots. Apparently, some of these plots are still visible near some of the larger figures. Many researchers believe that some of the lines were created to track the course of underground water flowing down from the Andes Mountains. Anthony F. Avini, author of The Lines of Nazca, affirms this and suggests that the 800 miles worth of straight lines map the direction of water sources in a highly advanced irrigation system which the Nazca had produced. Other researchers believe that some of the lines were created for solar and lunar alignment purposes. Senior astronomer at the Adler Planetarium, Phyllis Pitligand, performed computer-aided studies of star alignments and asserted that the giant spider figure is an anamorphic diagram of the constellation Orion. Some of the geoglyphs appear to even feature intricate mathematical diagrams. Now, still other researchers believe that many of the lines were created for a ceremonial or maybe spiritual purpose, and they wonder if the Nazca lines weren't made so as to communicate with what the ancient artists believed were the gods. To substantiate this theory, some researchers point to one of the strangest of all of these geoglyphs, which is known as El Astronauto, or the astronaut. This figure almost appears to be some sort of humanoid-looking figurine. It is also worth noting that ancient petroglyphs depicting three-fingered humanoids have been discovered in the Nazca Desert as well in this area. While most scholars attribute the Nazca culture alone to making the lines somewhere between 500 BC and 500 AD, author and researcher Brian Forster, who has written the book Nazca, Decoding the Riddle of the Lines, and who also lives near Nazca, believes that not all of the lines and figures were made at the same time by the Nazca culture. He states that the Nazca were the last of the line and geoglyph builders, but not the first. That they were created by two cultures. One, the Nazca people, but prior to the Nazca, the Paracas people who lived near the region approximately 800 BC to 100 AD and who possessed strange, elongated skulls. Brian has stated that the lines were made over the course of approximately 1,000 years, starting at the Pacific coast of Paracas, where we see the famous candelabra geoglyph, and then going down through Palpa, where we see these other 3D dimensional geoglyphs, many that look insectoid and humanoid, and then finally here to the Nazca Plateau, where we see more of the lines and the runway looking geoglyphs and the animal and zoomorphic shapes. I find it fascinating that Brian makes a connection between the Nazca lines and the elongated skull culture of Paracas, where some of these elongated Paracas skulls have a cranial volume that is approximately 25% larger and upwards of 60% heavier than conventional human skulls, along with other anomalies such as larger eye sockets. I find it a likely theory that the Nazca lines, including the geoglyphs of Palpa and the Paracas area, were created by at least two cultures spanning several hundred years. I also see credibility with the hypothesis that there could be more than one reason why these geoglyphs and lines were made. Some may have been to track the course of underground water channels. Some probably were for astronomical and alignment purposes. And yes, I believe some of them were created to commemorate or even communicate with what the ancient builders believed were the gods.